Casey. Hey, congratulations on your new short film, Terroir.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And more of a congratulations is being showcased at quite a few film festival, most recently with Screamfest, and I believe Coronado is coming up pretty soon for this short film too.
So we screened at Screamfest and we screened at New York Shorts yesterday. And then this weekend we're screening in San Diego.
Okay, pretty awesome. I mean, how do you feel about all these screenings of people get a chance to see your short film?
It's so exciting. So many people worked on this movie over the past 2 years. And so I'm just really delighted and honored that it's getting this beautiful moment and we get to share it with audiences. And yesterday I went to the screening at Screamfest, which was in the Chinese theater, and it was just like it was pretty special to see it on such a big screen and to hear like an audience of people of strangers really enjoying the film. So it's been pretty exciting.
Very, very good. So let me ask that obligatory question. Where the original idea came from for your short film?
My parents, my whole life, they've been super huge wine people, and so I've always just sort of been aware of wine, and the way that people talk about it. And so I went with my family 2 years ago. We went to a wine tasting, and one of the sommelier or the person kind of running the tasting, was like he described one of the wines as tasting bloody, and immediately like my that just kind of like got my attention, and so the wheels started turning, and then they took us on a tour of the property, and we were like in their wine cellar basement, and I just like I felt like we were so vulnerable, like we were kind of there were all of these wine like tools on the walls, and they looked so scary, and there's like it was very shadowy, and my mind just really went to this horror place, um as it often does. And yeah, the whole thing kind of just it came to me sort of in a flash, and I just sort of couldn't wait to start writing it.
So when you actually came up with this story, could you tell us about making this into not just a horror but a horror comedy?
Mm, yeah, I feel like for me, I have these like dueling like wolves inside of me, which are like the horror lover and the comedy lover. And I found working on Terroir that both of those genres demand a real sense of timing and rhythm, whether that's in the build up to a punchline or in the build up to a scare. And so for me, I really wanted to try and combine those, and I'm not the first person to try and do that. Um, but it was really fun to try and like use the horror setups and then instead of a scare, land on a punchline. I've my favorite movies are horror comedies. Scream, it was an enormous influence on this movie and on every movie that I make. And I love the silliness amidst the horror. I also felt like it was well suited for this film because it's really sort of lampooning the way that we talk about wine. And so it was important that beneath the horror stuff, it was really funny at its core.
Now, the characters that you created are hilarious. Tell us how you wanted to craft every single one of them to basically essentialize their eccentricities.
Mm. For me, when I started writing this, I had in my mind the three people who ultimately did play the roles. I had them in my head of like, this is who's going to play it. And so for me, it was just like writing to their strengths. And yeah, the three characters, three's a magic number. Like it just felt like they were able to bounce off of each other in a really natural way. I knew that the two friends were going to die, and so it really came from like I knew what their deaths were gonna be. And so then it was almost like reverse engineering a character from that death. Like I knew that the Rebecca character played by Naomi Rubin, who is brilliant, was gonna die by she's hiding from the killer, and then she like makes that noise, that like spoiler alert, that like wine suckling noise. And so I was like, okay, this is a really silly person who would do this. And so once I knew that, it was easier to sort of invent the character backwards.
Now, so you had these actors actually in mind, so you already had the casting down. You are they like friends of yours, or do you have to audition?
So this was a student film. So we made this while I made this while I was an undergrad. And so I'm an actor as well. And so these three actors I had worked with on other projects. And I knew two of them from we worked in an improv space together. And it just felt like super clear to me. I don't know. I just sort of knew that it should be them. I didn't know if they would accept, but when I went to them, it was very much like I've always wanted this to be you, and I hope you'll do it. And thankfully, they all agreed to do it. And yeah, I think that their work really speaks for itself in the movie. The three of them are incredible, and the support the not support the other roles, Madame Laurent, Pierre, that was finding the Madame Laurent was a bigger thing because I couldn't cast a student in that role. And so I reached out to, teachers and professors and family friends and said, this I'm looking for, and I said I'm looking for Laurie Metcalf in Scream 2, but she's French, was like what I was pitching people. And a family member connected me with the actress Lena Rideout, who is this sensational actress whose background is mainly in theater and vocal performance. And she and I hopped on a call, and it was immediately clear that she was going to play the part. And we had an amazing experience working together. And now we are just great friends. So it was I feel very lucky with this cast. I think everybody across the board was just excellent.
Was the setting for the story always in France, and you wanted Lena to pronounce things in a French accent?
Yeah, it was. And I remember when I was touring vineyards in I'm from the East Coast, and so I went to school in New York, and I was looking for a vineyard near there. So I was touring all these vineyards looking for a place that would let us film, because it's kind of a big ask to let this student crew come in and film this horror movie on your vineyard. And I was touring these vineyards, and I'm like, why did I set this movie in France? Like, I didn't have to be in France. But ultimately, when I found Amalthea Cellars, which is where we filmed the movie and the most beautiful property ever and the greatest, nicest team, it just like I think it looks like France. Like, I think it totally works. And so I'm glad that we stuck to it. Um, and yeah, Ligne, I think the French pronunciation, like the whole idea of like how to pronounce terroir is like woven into the film. And so for that reason, I think it was important that she speak with a French accent. And I don't know, it just adds a nice sort of like texture to it, to the performance and to the film. Sort of a loop around answer, but yes, I always knew that it was supposed to be in France.
Well, being a student in film production, tell us about the behind the scenes trying to prep this location. I want to say it must have been really challenging, especially with certain scenes in the dark.
Yeah, it was a lot went into pre-production. I was working with an amazing assistant director, Anna Kaysen, and she and I really scheduled the shoot to within an inch of its life. We squeezed in so much because we also had, we had that car stunt. We were in that barn in the dark. We were in the cellar. And so we were all over this property. But yeah, I mean, we storyboarded the whole thing, and we went into the shoot with a real plan. But I learned really through making Terroir that what they say is true, which is that you make a movie three times, which is you write it, you shoot it, and you edit it. It felt like when we were shooting this movie, in my head, I was constantly sort of recalibrating, and being like, okay, I've been staring at this in my head and on the page for months, but like here we are, and now it's different and better. But I had to sort of like reset every time we were doing a new scene. I had to be like, okay, this is like now what it looks like. And so that was a really enormous learning experience for me. This was my first really major production that I've ever done. I've done a lot of more like uh, scrappier sort of handheld stuff throughout my whole life, but this was like a whole production. And so that was a huge learning lesson for me.
So what do you suppose was the greatest challenge for you at for this project?
That's such a great question. I think it was the producing of the film was an enormous undertaking, I sort of naively just kind of was like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna just do everything. I'm gonna write, direct, produce, and ultimately edit this. And I just kind of like didn't think very hard about that decision. I just kind of knew like, okay, I'm gonna just do this. And then I learned as I was producing it, like, oh my gosh, so much goes into this. We were dealing, I was figuring out insurance for all the equipment. We had a SAG micro budget agreement. That was a whole process. And so I'm very glad that I did it because it taught me so much about what goes into making a movie. But to do it again, I think I would have worked with a producer. I'm currently a directing fellow at the American Film Institute, and there we work on every project. We work with a producer, and the producer that I'm working with right now is just like such a brilliant genius who elevates all of us. And when you're more now I'm able to focus, purely on directing, and that's a really wonderful new experience, to not have to wear so many different hats.
I was going to say it sounds like you had such a great elevated experience from this first major project of yours because it sounds like you're doing it again.
Yeah, I'm doing it again. Yeah, I submitted Terroir to FI, and here now I'm here, and I'm learning that I when I was making Terroir, like I said, I learned that I still have so much to learn. And now that I'm here at AFI working on my next project, it continues. I still have so much to learn, like every time. And so yeah, I'm trying to just really have a growth mindset, and especially as Terroir has this festival run, like really just appreciate every moment of it. Because I've learned how much, goes into a film having a moment like this. And yeah, so I feel extremely grateful, and it's been so wonderful getting to meet other filmmakers at these festivals, and see their work, and yeah, it's been really great.
I'm curious, how long did it was the production shoot for? What was that? What just did you just have everyone for a day, including the location, or did it actually take several days for you?
It took 3 days. I can't imagine filming this thing in one day. We filmed it in 3 days. Yeah, like intense days. We into nights. But we kept it, like I said, we were working on with a SAG contract, so we limited the days were limited. Um, but yeah, they were intense days. They were very, very fun days. Like, because this was a student shoot, so many members of the crew and cast were friends and, former collaborators. So there was a really wonderful energy on the set. And like I mentioned, the team at Amalthea Cellars were so generous with us and really just kind of gave us the space to play. And so I look back on that shoot very fondly, even though it was in the moment, it was quite stressful trying to squeeze everything in, because it was like, if we don't finish this right now, this is it. But I guess that's how it goes.
Well, you got it done. More about you, Casey. Tell us what got you started in to become down the road of a filmmaker.
Mm. My background, thank you. It's a great question. I feel like I've been making little movies my entire life. I would, steal my mom's phone, or and make movies with my friends after baseball practice, and they were always like either scary or silly or somewhere in between. Um, so that's kind of just been something I've always been doing. But my background is mainly in theater, so I grew up doing a ton of musical theater, and continued that through high school and college, and I've always loved theater and still do. I think theater has taught me a lot. Being a performer has really informed the way that I direct. I feel like I understand what it feels like to receive a note, and so that has been incredibly useful for me. Improv also, I do a lot of improv comedy stuff, and that is huge, in terms of just like I said, sort of recalibrating and thinking on your feet and adapting. Um, but yeah, I think I've always just loved cinema, and I've always loved horror, and I was watching scary movies younger than I should have been, and um, I was always like, even before I was allowed to watch like a scary movie, I would always be asking like my family members or babysitters or aunts and uncles to like tell me the plots of the movies, um, like they were like some sort of campfire story, and I just always had a certain fixation or fascination with horror.
Let me just go on to the next question here. Besides horror genres, what other genres that you would love to do?
Oh my gosh. I'd love to do every genre. I think like I would love to make a rom-com. I would love to make yeah, I'd love to make to take a genre and just sort of play with the conventions of it. A filmmaker I really admire is Christopher Landon. He made a movie recently called Hard Eyes. He made a movie called Freaky, and what he does is he really takes genre and just kind of flips it on its head. And so I think in the films I'm most excited to make are ones that do that, or take two genres that you wouldn't think would share anything in common and like try and connect them or merge them. Um, but yeah, I think at the moment, yeah, I would love. I think if I had to pick one, I would love to make a rom-com.
Well said. And for now, are you sticking with the short films to build up experience as you progress through your filmmaking career?
So yeah, so I'm at AFI for 2 years, and while I'm here, I'm going to make four shorts. And so the idea is that you make four very different projects, and then by the time you graduate, you really have a really solid foundation. And so at the moment, yeah, I'm all in on the shorts, on the short form medium, um, which is a really tricky medium I'm learning. It's a tough thing, like to tell a story concisely. Um, and then yeah, who knows what will happen after that? But yeah, for now, definitely shorts.
Well said. Casey, let me wrap it up with one last question. How much wine was harmed during your short film?
That's actually less than you would think. We ordered like fake wine bottles and then we made labels with the Laurent logo and put them on. So we were never breaking any bottles that actually had wine in them. But we did drink a lot of wine while we were making, not while, but after we made the movie and in the post-production process. Um, yeah, I think I'm always now going to have a really special appreciation for wine. It's always going to have been, the like part of my journey in some weird way.
Well, you know what? This is a great first step into your career and journey. So, hey, congratulations for your short film, and let's circle back on your next project.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was so great to meet you, and I hope we'll get to talk more soon.